At dinner, when I shared I left my old job for health reasons, my daughter-in-law mocked me, "You were unemployed again. How does it feel to be a loser?" I just smiled and said, "How does it feel to know you won't live rent-free in my house anymore?" Her face turned pale. Jennifer's fork clinked against her wine glass at exactly 930, demanding attention like the entitled princess she'd always been everyone. "I'd like to make a toast to my dear mother-in-law, Dorothy, who just shared the wonderful news that she's unemployed again after leaving her job for health reasons." Her voice dripped with mock sweetness as she made air quotes, her perfectly manicured nails catching the candlelight. "How does it feel to be such a complete loser at your age?" The entire dinner table went silent. My son, Michael's colleagues and their wives stared at their plates, pretending they hadn't heard what she just said to a 64-year-old woman who'd buried her husband 2 years ago. "If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from." I set down my own wine glass with deliberate care. My hand steady as a surgeon's well. "Jennifer," I said, my voice calm as morning coffee. "I imagine it feels about the same as learning you'll be evicted from the house you've been living in, rent-free for 3 years. I paused, letting that sink in before delivering the knockout punch, "because as of tomorrow, you and Michael have 30 days to find your own place." Jennifer's face went from smug satisfaction to corpse white in under 2 seconds. "What are you talking about?" "I'm talking about the fact that this house, the one you've been redecorating with such enthusiasm, the one you've been calling ours in your little social media posts, belongs to me, not Michael." "Me?" I smiled sweetly, the same expression she'd worn moments before. "Funny thing about property records, they're public information." Michael dropped his fork with a clatter. "Mom, what?" "Oh, sweetheart, didn't your wife tell you when you couldn't qualify for the mortgage because of your student loans? I bought this house outright cash. Your names aren't on the deed. They never have been." I stood up, smoothing my navy dress. "Jennifer, you've been particularly nasty tonight. So let me be crystal clear, you have exactly 30 days to pack your things and find somewhere else to live. I suggest you start looking for places you can actually afford on your part-time yoga instructor salary." Jennifer's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air around the table. Michael's colleagues were suddenly very interested in their dessert plates, though I could see the barely concealed smirks. Nobody liked Jennifer much. She had a talent for alienating people. "You can't just throw us out." She finally managed to stammer, "Actually, I can. It's called being a landlord, dear. Look it up." I gathered my purse and shawl. "Thank you for a lovely evening, everyone. Michael, we'll talk tomorrow when you've had time to process this." "Jennifer, I'd start checking apartment listings if I were you. The rental market's brutal this time of year." And with that, I walked out of my own dining room, leaving behind a woman who'd just learned that karma, much like good wine, was best served at exactly the right temperature. The next morning, I sat in my sunroom with coffee and the newspaper, waiting for the inevitable phone call. It came at 7:15, right on schedule. "Mom, what the hell happened last night?" Michael's voice was strained, exhausted. I could picture him pacing the kitchen of my house, running his hands through his hair the way he'd done since he was 5 years old and in trouble. "Language, Michael, and I think you know exactly what happened. Your wife decided to humiliate me in front of a room full of strangers, so I reminded her of her place in the world. You can't kick us out of our home. It's not your home, sweetheart. It never was." I set down my coffee cup with deliberate calm. "Do you remember 3 years ago when you and Jennifer were looking at houses? You were so excited about that little Tudor on Maple Street, but the bank wouldn't approve your mortgage because of your student loan debt." Silence on the other end of the line. "Do you remember how I offered to help, how I said I'd figure something out?" I continued. "What you don't know is that I didn't co-sign a loan, Michael. I bought this house outright for cash, $420,000 from your father's life insurance policy. But the mortgage payments are what you pay me in rent every month for 3 years. You've been paying me rent, not a bank. The house is mine. Michael, it's always been mine." I let that sink in for a moment. I put it in my name only because I wanted to protect my investment. Smart decision, as it turns out. Why didn't you tell us? There was something in his voice, not anger, but genuine confusion. My son, for all his faults, wasn't cruel like his wife. He was just weak, and weakness could be forgiven. Cruelty could not, because I wanted you to feel like you were standing on your own 2 feet. I wanted you to have dignity, pride in your accomplishments. Your father and I always said we'd help you kids without making you feel helpless. I paused, but dignity and pride are earned. Michael, they can't be given, and they certainly can't be bought. Jennifer says, you're being vindictive. Jennifer says a lot of things, most of them are about as valuable as her yoga certifications. I let the sarcasm drip just a little. Michael needed to hear it, even if he wasn't ready to accept it. Yet, she's my wife, Mom. Yes, she is, and I'm your mother. But this isn't about choosing sides, sweetheart. This is about respect, about basic human decency, about the fact that your wife thinks it's acceptable to call your 64-year-old mother a loser in front of a room full of people. The line went quiet for a long moment when Michael spoke again. His voice was smaller, younger. What do you want us to do? I want you to find your own place, get qualified for your own mortgage, build your own life without using me as a safety net you can abuse. I softened my tone just a fraction. Michael, I love you. I always will, but I won't be treated like a doormat in my own house by a woman who's never worked a full day in her life. And if we can't find a place in 30 days, then you'll figure it out. You're 35 years old. Michael, it's time to act like it. Jennifer showed up at my door at 2 o'clock the next afternoon, dressed in designer athleisure and carrying a bouquet of grocery store flowers, the peace offering routine I'd seen it before. Dorothy, we need to talk. She pushed past me into the foyer without waiting for an invitation. Her yoga-toned body moving with the confident swagger of someone who'd never faced real consequences for her actions. By all means, make yourself comfortable in my house, I said, closing the door behind her. She set the flowers on the entrance table and turned to face me, her expression a practiced blend of remorse and determination. I want to apologize for last night. I was out of line. Yes, you were. I've been under a lot of stress lately.